Hi, this is Alan Mackay, and we're doing a very quick tutorial just showing how to use texture maps to control fuel and other things like that. I've got a very simple object here. All it is a cylinder, and I'm just going to create a container around it first of all. The idea here is that I'm going to use a black and white image to control where the fuel goes, which then will allow me to have this object light on fire where the white areas are. So again, I'm recording off my laptop, um, so this isn't the most ideal situation. You probably want to be on a quad core or a uh, dual quad core, whatever you can get your hands on. But Fume Effects, I'm going to make an object source, drag it onto the viewport here, and I'm just going to select my object here, so that way it's cylinder01. Going to the Fume Effects interface here, I'm just going to go to simulation. A couple of things I'm just going to dial in a moment, but first of all, let's add our object source in. Now, let's set the temperature to 550, so it's fairly hot. I'm not going to emit any smoke, so I'm going to click on the set and disable that. So we're just going to focus on fire, and we're going to have it generate most of the smoke. Now, under fuel, I'm going to click on disabled and go down to source from intensity. That means it's going to use a black and white image to reference the fuel. So I'm going to drag this map into that slot, instancing it, and therefore it's going to source this right away. This means that there's no fuel on the areas that are black. Going back to simulation, I'm just going to give this a bit of turbulence. I'm going to set the scale quite small. Detail, I'm going to set the 5 here. Iterations will bump down to about 60 or 50. And lastly, we'll set the time scale up a little bit just to kind of make it a bit faster. Same with the turbulence here as well. Burn rate will make about 22. This means that the fire is going to burn the fuel slower, so it's going to last longer. Heat production will just bump up. That just means it's going to make everything burn quicker and rise higher overall. Expansion will make it expand a little bit. One key thing here is we're going to enable fuel create smoke. We're going to bump that up a little bit. This means that the smoke will burn at a much quicker pace. Sorry, what am I saying? That will allow it to generate smoke based on when the fuel burns. So we get smoke kind of rising up. I'm going to run the simulation, and as we can see, we got fire burning up and it's generating smoke. It's all raising up. That was quite good. What I'm going to do, go back in here. I was going to create a light initially, so we got some lighting for the smoke. I'm going to do this very quick. AB ray traced. Go to the shadow parameters. Enable atmospheric shadows is very important. Okay, so back in here, I'm just going to add under illumination. I'm going to add my light in. Also, under smoke, right now it's white. Let's just make that a bit more interesting. We'll make that more of a dark gray. Also, I'm just going to bring, I've just disabled my opacity mask. I'm just going to bring these colors down so they're a little bit easier to look at. And they'll do for the time being. So we've got fire spreading up and it's burning along, which looks quite nice. I might make the fire rise a little bit higher. So we'll bring the burn rate down a little bit, and I'm going to bring the height of my container up so we get a better result. The only thing I don't like here is right now it's burning like all over the object, which doesn't look too good because it's so concentrated. So let's go back into our shader, and I'm just going to click on gradient mask and change this to, or gradient ramp, and change this to a mask. Keeping the old one, I'm going to enable the noise, and I'm just making a masked material. And this just means that I can work on this and make this a bit more broken up. The whole idea is this way I'm not necessarily having it burn everywhere, it's a bit more spread apart. Okay, so that looks kind of good. It's pretty basic in terms of what I want. I'm going to make this explicit UV map. It's always better to do this because object XYZ doesn't always translate over perfectly. So I've just changed the size and everything. Now going back into object source, I just want to make sure that this is a mask. Okay, that's the most important thing there, just to make sure it's updated. I want to bring the detail up a little bit. Again, recording for the laptop, I don't really get much detail to play with here. But we're running the simulation again. It's going to take a little bit more time, so I will pause this. But the whole idea is that we have a mask, which is the black and white areas are all noise. So that means that as the gradient map expands across, it is going to have a broken up pattern, which means that some areas will get more fuel than others. So I'll pause this and we'll look at the result. So although this is off my laptop, and it's very quick, we've just jumped through it, here we can see we now have an object burning sequentially along from one end to another. Things I would recommend from here to do is maybe, right now the line is very linear as we can see, so I might want to spread this apart more. And add some noise to it as well. And that way we get a bit more of a natural motion to it. But this looks good, I'm quite happy with the result. And you know, it'll give you an idea as to how you can go that extra step to get some very interesting rendering results. And again, render at a higher resolution if you're on a desktop machine. Alright, good luck.